Hey there, hope you're doing well and you're enjoying your Friday and hope you have a nice weekend. I want to do this video before we went into the weekend. I want to talk about technical interviews. I just want to share my 2 cents on what they are, how you might want to prepare for them, etc. etc. So when you hear the word technical interviews, a lot of us, we react in one of n number of ways. Some of us are super excited about them. Some others are a little bit nervous or anxious, and then maybe there's a category of people who probably feel indifferent to it, right? I've been in all of these three categories in terms of what I've felt towards them. But since I've done this for a long period of time, for lack of a better word, I'm immune to it, and I actually truly enjoy these interviews. It just gives me an opportunity to talk to people, and I do 99% of my work remotely, and I'm very chatty. So since I don't get to talk to people, an interview is just another way for me to interact with people. So having said that, here are some ways that you could prepare for these technical interviews, right? As a developer, as an architect, as somebody who's hands-on, how can you prepare for them, and how can you not be anxious or nervous when you go to these interviews, so you can not only enjoy what you do, enjoy the process of that interview itself, but also learn from interviews, the ones you fail from as well, right? And mostly from ones you fail, because if you clear every interview the first time, you probably end up learning a lot lesser than if you actually failed a number of them, if that makes sense. So I made a list of notes here. Let me go through them, and maybe this will help you, right? If you're going to be in these interviews in the near future or sometime in the horizon, right? So first thing, right? Apply only for positions before you go to the interview. To make your life during the interview easier, you can do a few things before you get to that interview. The first thing I have here in my list is apply only for positions that pique your interest. Now, again, as you build your career, as you have more experience, you can afford to be a little bit more picky than you might be when you're just starting out. Like when I interviewed for my first job, I totally loved what I did after, when I started doing the job, but I did not know a whole lot about it before I actually went to this interview, right? So again, this depends on where you're at in your career, but try only to apply for positions that actually pique your interest, because you will be able to give your best, put your best foot forward and give it all you have if you actually enjoy what you think the job might bring to the table. Number 2, be passionate about what you do. Now, this is a lot of this is personality, but to the extent possible, to the extent that you can make adjustments to yourself, I suggest that you be passionate about whatever it is that you do. Because if you don't bring the level of passion to your job, it's going to, life's not going to be fun, right? So you have to be passionate about what you do. So just bring that passion, not before you go to the job, bring that to the interview as well. Number 3, some of these are more important than others. Don't embellish what you've done or what you do know, right? Because there's quite a few jobs in the market at any given point of time, regardless of how the economy is. Sometimes there are a lot more jobs than at other times, but we live in America. It's probably I want to believe it is the best country in the world to live in. So there's plenty of opportunities, right? So I don't believe in overstating. I cannot, not just believe, I wouldn't do that. I've never done that. No, I didn't do that for my first job, and I'm not going to do it ever again in future either, right? So don't embellish what you've done. If you don't know something, be willing to accept it. Just be honest about what you've done and what you've not done. From step 1, right? When you talk to the recruiter or the account manager or your hiring manager or the technical interviewer, just be honest all the way through. I think that's the only way to be. Accept your limitations. I think I already said that. Once you learn about your client stack, your recruiter might give you an idea as to what your client or your potential employer is going to be interested in. Learn about that and try to create a small app, right? And I use the word app loosely here. It could be a web interface, it could be a web app, a mobile app, a native mobile app. It could be APIs, it could be scripts, whatever it is, right? Try to create something small and volunteer to sharing that with the client. I've seen that not everybody's willing to want to see that. I don't know why. When I'm on the other side of the interview where I'm interviewing people, I would love to see the actual work that people have done, right? So just volunteer. If the client is interested, great. If not, you have nothing to lose. You still have learned something in that process. Don't be afraid to be judged. And I say here that it's the world we live in, and it's all right, right? I mean, judgments, biases, all of this is part of human nature, not something you can control as an interviewee. So I think it's totally fine. I mean, nobody's perfect, right? I'm not perfect. I'm sure you're not perfect. The recruiter, interviewers, we can't expect any of them to be perfect because we are not perfect ourselves. So, just people are doing a job, they're doing a lot of stuff, they're juggling lots of things. Just don't be afraid to be judged. And don't be presumptuous. Maybe people are not even judging you, right? And sometimes they have to judge you because if they're interviewing you, they have to make the judgment. Can Krish do this job or not? You may not agree with that judgment all the time. That's all right. Like for instance, today someone told me that they didn't think I had enough development experience, right? And I'm like, okay, I don't have a lot of things. I would be the first to admit that. But I'm not sure if dev experience and not having enough of it, I don't know. Do I agree with that? With that judgment? I don't think so, but it's all right. They do believe that I do not possess the amount of dev experience that they want for the position, which I still. I think that's, I don't know, I feel differently about it, but again, that was a call that someone made, and I respect that, right? So that's all right, you just go to the next position and see how it goes. The next point, don't try to prove anything to anyone, right? To the recruiter, to the account manager, to the interviewer, to who your potential employer is going to be. I think we just need to compete with ourselves. Try to prove it to yourself. If that gives you satisfaction, I think it does give satisfaction to a lot of us. So you are your competition, right? You look in the mirror, you are the competition. I don't think you're competing with anyone else. So don't be bogged down by trying to proving yourself to somebody, because that just makes it harder and heavier, and you're not going to be yourself, right? So nobody's God. So it's okay if you do your best. If it's not good enough, that's totally fine. But don't go to an interview thinking that you have to prove yourself. That's at least my opinion. And also remember that the interviewer is going to know more about the position than you would, right? Because they have done this, they are in that job. So they ought to know more, and they will know more. And when I'm interviewing, I know more. I know a whole lot more about Snowpal than someone else who comes to the interview. So which means, and I'm in a position to judge them. So it's not a fair platform. So it's okay, right? So it's completely okay if you don't want to prove yourself. I don't think we should try to prove ourselves to anyone else, but to just our own self, right? Offer to build another app if you need to learn more about the requirements. I said this before, but again, you may want to build something generically as a starting point, but once you learn more about your client or the company, you may want to build something that's more specific to that particular client with that stack, right? Just to bring it closer to their requirements. Be a constant learner. This might sound cliched, but it's important, because sometimes people have 10 years of experience. Other times I've seen people have 1 year experience repeated like 10 times, right? You're doing the same thing over and over again. So be a constant learner. And one of the quotes I have in my office, the one I'm looking at right now, is, what's my biggest fear? Being in the same place next year, right? Doing the exact same thing. So, challenge yourself, do something that keeps you excited at all times. The last one is quite a bit more, but I want to end it under the 10 minutes. Learn from all interviews, especially the ones you failed. And I think I kind of alluded to it earlier. If you pass every single interview, it's like building a feature. If you don't have any bugs, that's actually awesome, because you can go to the next one, but you would have learned less about that stack or the platform or the framework or your own code base if you did not have those bugs, right? So the bugs are good in that sense. So when something is wrong, you learn from it and then you improve. So learn from all the interviews that you fail. You're going to learn a whole lot more from interviews that you fail than, to be honest, from the ones that you actually do clear, right? So these are some items, and I know that I have a lot more to go through in this list. But again, I'm not known for my brevity, but hopefully some of this helps you. Thank you.